Welcome into the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com for Saturday, April the 16th. Tom Leach, along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's Director of Mutuals and Simulcasting. We're going to take a look at the All Stakes Pick 4, and it ends with a Grade 1, the Coolmore Jenny Wiley on Saturday. We have a Derby prep, the Grade 3 Lexington to look at. And, Jim, I guess why don't we just start with the first of the stakes races. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll start with the Lexington. That's usually how we do this. So we'll go with the Grade 3 Lexington. Okay. And since that's the Derby prep, and we've got a nice field in here, 3 California horses coming in. One's a maiden. You got Swipe, who was second in the Breeders' Cup race here. Got Bob Baffert and Collected coming in. How did you see the Grade 3 Lexington?
Yeah, this is a pretty good race. I mean, Coolmore dropped the sponsorship, so it's not quite as expensive a race, but it's still got Derby points. And there's some horses in here that have been on the Derby trail and have good shots. And Swipe is a perfect example, because he hasn't come back this year. But last year he ran second to Nyquist 4 times in a row. There's nothing wrong with that, because you know how good Nyquist is. So I'm going to take him and say he's ready off the way off. I'm not sure that he's got all his issues taken care of, but I would take Swipe on top. I would also use in the pick 4. I like Synchrony, the 5-horse for Sean Bridgemahan. I had that horse as well in a future book out at Vegas, and it just hadn't panned out for him this year down at Oaklawn. He didn't run that great in the Southwest after running pretty well this Marty Jones. So he's got a chance to bounce back. I'd also use Riker from Mark Cassey. They tried him in the Tampa Bay Derby. Didn't run that well with Giroux, but he takes him back. So I think Riker has a shot. And Collected, obvious for Baffert on the outside with Cassiano. So those 4 horses I would use in the pick 4, and I would use Swipe on top simply because of that class.
Yeah, I went with Swipe as well. I tried to talk myself into somebody else, but his works have been very good, and I like the fact that they've been a lot of long works, so I think that suggests that they've tried to get him ready. And maybe they would try to go in the Derby off this. I don't know. I suspect it'd be more of a Preakness or a Belmont if he runs well here, but just such a big class edge. Collected is coming in from California as well for Baffert. And if you even go back to last summer, Rallis came east and won a stake at Saratoga from the West Coast. Exaggerator shipped in and won a stake at Saratoga. Nyquist came here and won the Bluegrass. The horses from California, Exaggerator won down at Delta, just time and time again came east and got the money. And I thought one thing you could try in here is just a 3-horse California box. You'd get Swipe and Collected, and you'd get a maiden one more round. And who will be a big price. So you could try those 3, gets an inside post. And then Riker's the other one that I thought I would throw in there as well. I talked to Norm Cassey, trainer Mark Cassey's son, and he said they thought they probably needed that race down at Tampa. And as we saw with Brody's Cause, not all horses like that Tampa track, and they can come back and bounce back strong. So for me, it's going to be Swipe as well. And then for the we'll get to the pick 4 in a moment. We ought to talk about the Grade 1 Jenny Wiley, the Coolmore Jenny Wiley. Coolmore has shifted their sponsorship to the Grade 1 there, and you've got Tepin from the Cassey stable that was just tremendous in Florida to start her 2016 campaign. And the question is, she's been lights out at Keeneland. Do you see anything that could beat her in here?
And we were a little concerned when Tepin, they announced Tepin was coming to this race a few weeks ago, and I know our racing office was kind of concerned that she would scare everybody off, and she hasn't. We got a 10-horse field, so. But I do think it's the racing for second. I think Tepin certainly proven here. She's won almost $3 million. She's won 4 races in a row, and the Breeders' Cup Mile was extremely impressive. Won by 2 1/4 with a 110 buyer. She runs anywhere close to that. She wins this. I would use a couple of prices underneath, possibly Recepta to 4, shipping again from the West Coast. The horses run at Belmont, but they shipped out to Del Mar at the matriarch and just got nailed by one of my least favorite horses, Stormy Lucy. I lost a handicapping contest that day in November because of Stormy Lucy. So I got to pull for Recepta to turn the tables, and I think she's got a shot to certainly run second in here at least. Wakila, the French horse, is kind of an unknown for Chad Brown. Chad's been extremely cold at Keeneland, which is very uncharacteristic of him. And the other horse that I think that probably has a shot at getting in the money is She's Not Here, 30-1. Robbie Alvarado rides for Vicky Oliver. Again, coming out of the matriarch, and she had all kinds of trouble there. Went off at 14-1 in the Grade 1, so I think she fits here. So I would take Tepin on top. I would use those 3 horses, the 4, 6, and 9 underneath, and probably throw all in that last spot because I think it is wide open after that.
It's certainly awfully hard to go against Tepin in the Coolmore Jenny Wiley. If I was going to try to beat her, I'd take Decida. She beat Tepin last summer up at Saratoga, so we know it's possible. So that was her best day, and on her best day, she'd have a shot. It's her second off a layout, so she ought to improve off the race down in Florida. So I'd give Decida a shot, and if you want to spread out in the pick 4, you could. I think it's one of those two. And, you can maybe play both on top of, you could do 3-8 over 3-8 and then maybe throw in a couple of prices for the 2 line and maybe you get a big price horse behind one of them for the second slot. But should be a really nice race, the Coolmore Jenny Wiley. Start the pick 4 in the Grade 3 Ben Ally, the 7th race. I would use 4 horses in there, Noble Bird, Eagle, General A-Rod, and J.S. Bach. Noble Bird's the win pick. And talking to Norm Cassie, he said the horse was kind of rank out at Oaklawn, didn't seem to like the track out there, kind of had a clunker out at Oaklawn last year and then came here and won. He said he's really training well, so on his best day, Noble Bird should win this, and we'll see if it's his best day. Since there's a little question, I'd want to use those others, and the 2 on the outside for Pletcher I think are a little dangerous. General A-Rod's trying to bounce back from a subpar effort in the big cap. And then J.S. Bach's stretching out to this distance for the first time, but a horse I know that they had a real high opinion of early and then had some issues, and so came back with a nice win down at Florida. So I'd use all 4 of those in the first leg. In the Giants Causeway, I'd go fairly deep. Miss Matzo Ball's the win pick, but I like Miss Ella, Sweet Nicosi, and Jewel of a Cat. I'm going to stop there, but you could certainly make a case to go deeper. In the Lexington, I'm going to use Swipe, Collected, Riker, and then I'm going to throw in Synchrony as well because he's shown he likes this track. And then in the 10th, you can single Tepin and keep the ticket down. If you want to try to get a little value in there, I would say Decida for Chad Brown would be the one. That's about the only one I could see. Decida beat Tepin in the race at Saratoga last year, and it's the second start off a layoff for Decida, so she ought to improve. If anybody beats Tepin, I think it's probably her. So if you want to spend a little more money, you could take 2 in the last leg. What's your pick 4 look like?
I've got a $30 ticket. I would go 5 deep in the early leg in the Ben Ali, which is a nice little race, and I think Noble Bird is probably going to be the favorite. But I like Eagle a little bit better. I like that race at New Orleans. He just got banged all over the place. He should have won that race, and the horses that got placed third in disqualification, but he really had a tough trip. So I think he'll bounce back. Noble Bird is the other choice. I would use neck and neck the 8 General A-Rod to 9 and your horse J.S. Bach to 10. So 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. In the Giants Causeway, I actually like a horse you didn't mention. I like Exaggerate. Been off since January 20th, but ran a really nice race at Tampa. Think she's come into this race really well, and Le Peru takes the ride. And I think this outside post in the 5 furlong, I like that today because of quite a bit of speed on the inside. I would also use Miss Matzo Ball to 5 and Jewel the Cat to 6. So 5, 6, 9. In the Lexington, I would go 4 deep. Swipe is my top choice, the 4. I would also use Synchrony, the 8 horse, Liker, and the 10 Collected, and then I would single Tepin in the last. You're not going to make a whole lot of money, but I just don't see anybody beating her in the Jenny Wiley.
And then out at Oaklawn, you have the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby, the last big prep, last Grade 1 prep for the Kentucky Derby is the Arkansas Derby. And Cupid's probably going to be favored for Baffert. I think Whitmore's got a shot to win that. He was wide last time. Ortiz is going to ride him for the second time and may learn a little more about how to best time this horse's move. And I thought he had, he ran a whole lot farther than Cupid did in the prep for this. Dazzling Gem was one I thought was a little intriguing for Brad Cox as well, coming out of the Louisiana Derby. But I'm going to take Whitmore to win the Arkansas Derby. They've got a nice card out there if you want to play those races for simulcasting while you're ingrained in the Keeneland form as well.
Yeah, I'm right with you on Whitmore. I think I thought he was going to win the Southwest. He just kind of hung, and Cupid dug in and ran a great race. But I think Whitmore is right there with him, and he needs some points to get to Kentucky Derby. I think he's like 24th. So I'm hoping he gets there. Got a little future bet on him out of Vegas. Hopefully Whitmore pulls it off on Saturday.
Best of luck with your wagers for the Saturday card at Keeneland. A reminder that if you're going to try to take in the blue-white football game at UK and the races, Lextrans running a shuttle, starts in the morning, goes through the 6 o'clock hour, back and forth between Commonwealth Stadium and Keeneland. On Fridays and Saturdays, you've got the shuttle from the Red Mile out to Keeneland. You can park at the Red Mile and ride the shuttle to and from Keeneland. And then there's a big party after the races with music and the instant racing and simulcasting from the West Coast and all of that down at the Red Mile. So you can watch the Oakland races when you get your ride back down to the Red Mile to get your car after Keeneland is over. Best of luck with your wagers on Saturday. For Jim Goodman, I'm Tom Leach, and that's the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.